I'm Kevin Harnett, excited to be with you again for another edition of Secrets of Bluegrass Chefs. We begin our culinary journey this time in Old Louisville at a restaurant whose name is the same as its address. And the food is unlike anything you'll find anywhere else.
I'd highly recommend this place to come to eat if you want to eat good food.
It's 610 Magnolia, home of nationally acclaimed chef Edward Lee. Ed's heritage is Korean, and he grew up in Brooklyn. But his passion has deep roots in Kentucky, dating back to 2001 when he fell in love with our fresh, local ingredients and blending them with international cuisine.
So many different flavors and textures that work so well together.
It's delicious. It's absolutely delicious.
Chef Ed runs a trio of restaurants in Louisville and 2 in Washington, D.C., and he's assembled a team of talented chefs like Jeff Potter to help carry out his mission.
And now for the plate.
Chef Jeff has been cooking since he was a teenager, starting out in Virginia, and now hitting his stride in Kentucky.
What actually brought me to this city was this restaurant, or just the opportunity to work for this restaurant. I helped out with the Derby, absolutely loved it, and kind of like the energy of the city, and that's what honestly brought me here.
Jeff graduated from UVA with a music degree, but his performances now are all done on a plate. Later on, he'll show us the secrets to this seared halibut that looks almost too good to eat. Almost. But first, the secrets to Tuscan-style shellfish pasta with a lot of Korean and Kentucky influence, particularly in the form of corn.
First dish I'm going to show you guys is a charred corn husk pichi. Pichi is a hand-rolled pasta originating out of Tuscany, but the way we kind of do it is almost like a cross between udon noodles and pichi pasta. So we try to incorporate as much corn flavor as possible. We make a corn tea, which you can see right here, and that is made with some roasted corn kernels, and then we take some of the husks from the corn that we get and just char it as much as possible. And then just have that steep in the tea, and this is actually what we end up with. And this is the only liquid that we use when making the pasta dough itself.
He makes the pasta by blending the corn tea with flour and a few more secrets.
I typically just use AP flour, but I add freeze-dried corn that I just pulverize in a blender and make that into a powder, and that gives it an extra corn flavor. And this right here is activated charcoal powder, and that is honestly just what gives it an extra depth of color to kind of like portray the chard as much as possible. And then this is the dough that you end up with, and you can honestly see specks of corn in there. And then if you actually are close enough to smell it, you'll be able to smell the actual corn.
And if that's not enough attention to detail, get this. The chef rolls out each piece of pasta, one by one.
So it's a labor of love, since each noodle is hand-rolled with love.
Once cooked, the chef will finish the pasta with butter, but not just any butter.
So we just have some softened butter right here. Then I'm going to add the gochujang, the Korean red pepper fermented paste. I just like it for the depth of flavor. Some lemon juice, just some salt to season. This is a little bit of honey. It is actual local Kentucky honey. And then we have some sesame oil, and then 1 clove of garlic that I'm just going to microplane. And honestly, this is the best way for me to incorporate garlic into anything, because you don't have to dirty up a knife, you don't have to dirty up anything. It's pretty much already done in a puree for you right there. And basically, you just want to incorporate it until it's all evenly homogenized. And this is what we're going to finish the pasta with right here.
Now for the seafood part of the dish. Sautéed mussels with garlic, shallots, and what else? Local corn, of course.
Get a light cook on that. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white wine. And then once that's reduced by half, I'm going to go ahead and add the mussels.
Once the mussels open, the chef removes the shells. Once again, one by one.
That way you're not opening this up at the table. I'm going to go ahead and add the butter in.
And then in goes the pasta.
I always like to get a little bit of the water in there as well. We're just going to let the butter and the water reduce. It's going to become a sauce that adheres to the actual pasta. I'm gonna make a charred corn husk chow chow, and chow chow is just a southern condiment, kind of like a pickled relish. I'm just gonna add some apple cider vinegar, some gochugaru, which is Korean red pepper flakes. This is actually, if you make kimchi, this is the red pepper flakes that they use as well. But if you can't find it, regular red pepper flakes. Some salts, some celery seed, some sorghum. You get the sorghum from Duncan Farms out of Boston, Kentucky. It's one of our favorite farms that we actually get from. Some fennel, shallot, and red pepper. You can see once the veg is softened just a little, add in the corn. What I did is I took it off the cob and I just roasted it in a pan. And that was just to add some extra flavor. And this sits for a couple of hours. It should be good to go. The longer it sits, the more the vinegar is going to penetrate it. And that is our charred corn chow chow. We're going to use the chow chow pickled relish that we made, kind of right on top. And then we have some shaved raw fennel. I always like to reserve the fronds. They always make a nice garnish. Charred corn husk pichi.
The pasta is phenomenal.
Hand-rolled noodles. That's incredible.
They look like little eels or something, and then I remembered they were pasta. And they're delicious.
This is one of the best mussel dishes I've ever tasted.
And don't go anywhere, because we have more secrets to share from 610 Magnolia coming up, including this masterpiece.
The halibut's cooked perfectly.
Beautiful.
Secrets of Bluegrass Chefs is a presentation of Kentucky Proud. Nothing else is close. With support from the Kentucky Beef Council. In Kentucky, beef is still what's for dinner. And by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you.
We're back on Secrets of Bluegrass Chefs inside the wine studio at 610 Magnolia, a restaurant that's gained fame all over the country. One reason for that is the team of skilled chefs working behind the scenes.
And now for the plate.
Another is the bounty of local ingredients they use to make their masterpieces.
Radishes, turnips, carrots.
Everything's fresh, either from nearby farms or 610's own greenhouse, right out back.
Cauliflower.
We actually have some good strawberries going right now.
Here, they're growing everything from root vegetables to flowering fennel, which Chef Jeff Potter is using in two different ways in this next dish.
Today I'm going to prepare you a halibut with some navy beans and some baby bok choy and a buttermilk soup beef. Soup beef is a classic French sauce that is basically a white onion sauce.
He'll start with the navy beans.
And this is a great way actually to make vegan beans, but super flavorful.
These have soaked in water overnight.
What that does, it makes the time of the cooking of the beans significantly less. So it doesn't take as long to cook because they've already incorporated all that water.
He'll cook the beans in a pot with garlic and onion and a few secret ingredients.
And then I'm going to add some black bean paste, some chili paste, some gochujang, and some soy. We're just going to incorporate this until you kind of get a nice paste. And then I'm going to add in the water. 2 quarts of water to 1 pound of beans. Add the kombu and soy into the beans. The kombu is just basically just dried seaweed. That just adds some more, again, depth and umami and flavor. You're going to cook over low heat at a lazy bubble. It's going to take about 1 to 1.5 hours. And then we're going to reheat it with a little bit of flowering kale, some bramps, some leeks, and some black bean butter.
Now the secrets to that French white onion sauce.
Start off with some butter. Have some garlic. I have white onion. Have some leeks, the white part of the leeks only. Then I have some shallot, some ramps, and some scallion bottoms. The volume of all the onions is going to go down by about half. And then I'm going to add some more of the kombu. as well. With the magic of television, we have some already ready to go. And this is what it's going to look like. I added to this already 2 tablespoons of flour to help with the consistency of the sauce. And then one thing also I'm going to add is some bonito flake and buttermilk. And we're just going to heat this up to the point where the flour and the butter thickens the actual buttermilk, like buttermilk soubise.
He purees the sauce in a blender.
And then go high.
Then he strains it through a fine chinois to get it silky smooth.
You'll end up with this nice, beautiful white sauce.
Now, the halibut. The chef seasons it with salt and sears it in a pan lined with olive oil.
Typically, once the crust is set, it will let you know, and then the fish should release properly. You can go ahead and add the baby bok choy, cut side down, and salt it just a little bit. Then a nice crust is formed on the fish. So we're just going to go ahead and slide this into a 400-degree oven. And that's going to take about 3 to 4 minutes to complete.
So here's how it all comes together on the plate, starting with the navy beans and flowering kale.
We're going to add some of our seared baby bok choy. Put it right around the beans. The sauce, you can place it kind of anywhere you want to. I like making kind of like a pattern. The halibut.
And for a colorful garnish, Jeff pickled the stems of the flowering kale. He adds those along with flowers from the bok choy grown right out back in the greenhouse.
And that's the dish.
The spice and the flavors were just unbelievable.
Secrets of Bluegrass Chefs is a presentation of Kentucky Proud. Nothing else is close. With support from the Kentucky Beef Council. In Kentucky, beef is still what's for dinner. And by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you.